Hello, Reptile Entrepreneurs. This is your host, Bill Strand. Today, we are going to look into a business case. We're going to be talking with Eddy Garabito. You may know him as Father Blue. He works with blue tree monitors. He also has a company that sells 3D printed products called Bioactive Works. You may remember Eddy from the first season of the Reptile Entrepreneur podcast, and now it's time to check in with him and see how far he's come. Now, since this is our season where we're talking about websites, I will specifically ask him about that. But this is going to be a business case review where we ask him about his entire business, and then we take the pieces from that can be useful for us. He has a number of decisions he's going to have to make in his business, and we can learn from that in making decisions in our business. And so let's go ahead and roll the interview, and we'll do the analysis afterwards. Eddy, welcome back to the show.
What's going on, y'all? Nice to have me. Thank you.
We see you a little bit on this show. What's going on? You like doing things?
I think so, man. Here and there, I dabble in a little bit of everything, honestly.
Let's start off with your story. Who are you? What do you do? And eventually we're going to get to how will a website serve your future goals?
Beautiful. All right. My name's Eddy Garabito. I'm based out of New York City. Not from here, but I live out here. And I work particularly with blue tree monitors. From my records, I have the largest group of the blue tree monitors in the USA with a total of, I have 9 right now, 9, 10 at the moment. I'm not sure because they're going out in and out. But I also do some cool stuff with 3D printing. I've invented a couple little products, some which you can see here in these enclosures to feed and take care of my animals, and various other little gadgets and stuff like that, from hides to egg laying boxes to feeder implements, all sorts of stuff like that.
Okay, so you've got both a breeding / education business going on, as well as a 3D printing reptile cage accessory business going on, correct?
Yeah. The goal is to grow both of them here and there. I learn every day with the 3D printing. I learn every day with the blue tree monitor stuff. And yeah, man, hopefully I can be the biggest resource for blue tree monitor information, as well as 3D printing implication with reptiles and animals. So we'll see what happens.
All right, so let's take the education aspect first, the blue tree monitors. What is your plan for 2023 for that outreach?
Okay, that's going to be cool. I plan to do a lot more social media, kind of outsourcing in the sense of or just reaching out to more people in the communities that also deal with tree monitors that maybe don't know all the little tips and tricks that I knew going into this, So reaching out to those guys, just helping them out with little things that I see or notice with the things that they're doing. Doing a lot more collaborative stuff. I want to go out and travel and see a lot of my friends who are big breeders in this industry of tree monitors and see how they're doing their stuff. I want to start doing more on the YouTube. I want to start a podcast. I would love to start a podcast focusing generally on tree monitors, because I can talk all day about those things. But ultimately branching out to the monitor kind of genus in total. So a monitor podcast, if you will, where we can just talk more and stuff like that there. So that's what I really want to do with that. I want to reach out to a lot more zoological institutions as well, to see if I can help at all with some knowledge-based information on these animals, so that the people that are coming to see those guys can be as excited as I am every time I see one at the zoo, So those are some of the things that I kind of want to do with that kind of informational.
So with that outreach, you're looking at expanding social media, YouTube, and podcast. Is that
that's what I would love to do next year.
And what is your thinking between the podcast and the YouTube? Will they be connected in some sort? Will they have different functions in your outreach?
I think they're both tools that are kind of unique in different ways. Whereas the YouTube is cool because it's engaging. It's people can really see who you are. They get a general sense of what your attitude is, a person you are, like you, Bill, or me, Eddy. They get to feel who we are as individuals, and they can grow a connection there. They also get to see what we do here, with my projects in general, and see that grow, as I kind of move more with that, which is cool. The podcasting, it's a tool where it helps a lot of people who don't have the time to sit down and watch a video still get the information that I'm trying to give them, so maybe they don't have a chance to see a 15-20 minute video of me showing my animal collection. But if I told them, hey, let me talk to this guy who's been successful at breeding them for 10 years, listen to what he has to say, maybe they'll gather the same type of information that I can give out in that kind of format. So I think it goes hand in hand. And if I can record these podcasts as well, then I have content that I can use for my social media. So it just helps in multiple ways.
So now let's go on to the other section of what you do, and that is the 3D printing. What is the basis for that? What's the idea behind that? And how far have you gotten as far as building out your outreach, your e-commerce, etc.?
So the 3D printing thing came about me, needing a solution to a problem I had, which is feeding my animals and getting them to drink and eat confidently without me like guessing. And so my original idea, which is inspired by other things that I've seen, were the feeder dishes in here, which hold suspended water cups and food dishes, so my animals have a place that they can see near their heat zone so they can eat. Generally an animal is near the hot spot, so why not put food and water in those areas where they'll most likely be? That kind of grew into designing different stuff like hides and egg laying bins and all the sorts like that. I've expanded into a multitude of different little products now, which is really cool. It's grown very fast. I've been really at this project for about 3 years where I've been doing the feeder cups. Last year when I met you was really the biggest push that I did to myself, where I like expanded and really started to like promote the product and outreaching to customers and stuff like that. And now I'm at the point where I have an e-commerce business. So I made a website, I bought a domain, I changed the name a couple times, but I have a name that sticks now. My product right now is in 10 different countries. It's all over the U.S. I'm in Japan. I'm in Germany. I'm in Spain, France. I'm in like I said, all over the place right now, which is really cool, really exciting. I have a lot of people that reach out to me asking them, hey, how could they get into this? And I help them develop their methods. I went from having a handful of printers, now I have eight machines running.
Whoa.
All the time, which is, I have 8 machines running constantly, which is cool. I have a dedicated space, a warehouse outside of my home, dedicated to the growth of that and everything like that. And all of that was attributed to the 3D printing and me getting serious on that. I've been at a couple shows. And so now the local people here know who I am and they like the interest in what I'm doing. And the feedback I get from people is amazing. Like when you see people, they're like, hey, I'm having a hard time feeding my animal. I'm having a hard time giving water to my animal. First thing I say is, get an elevated ledge, because it's going to allow them to eat. They're going to see it. They're going to want to eat. They're going to want to drink. It's going to, it's like, and that's so cool, that I'm helping other people kind of like with their animals and just, making the community a little bit better, like one little piece at a time, that's always cool.
Okay. So what kind of structure have you put in place for your business? And by that, I mean, as far as social media and website and any other kind of outreach.
Well, I've got social media, so I have my own personal page, which is a Father Blue page for the tree monitors. I have a Instagram site for the brand for the 3D printing brand, which is Bioactive Works. And then I have the social media. I have the website, which is bioactive.works. That's the actual website, so I have the domain and everything like that as well. And honestly, right now it's been growing word of mouth. And now because I have the social media sites and I have the website, I can post stuff and people then could see all the information needed about the products that I can release. And so I don't have to go and sit down and talk individually to everybody, and it's a great way for everyone to see when I'm coming up with something new, they get a quick view of how that works. So I try to post daily. It's hard managing a business and running and social media and all this stuff. So, and doing it all alone. So I try to post daily. If not once a week, I try to come up with a new idea or new iteration of something I'm making as well to engage with the client base and make sure that they know that, hey, we're over here doing cool stuff. And yeah, I also reach out to a lot of other big content creators where I allow them to like test out a lot of my products, so that I know that I have a viable thing that works, that nice, that they can give me their input on what I can do to, change it and to get better iterations, etc. So just kind of going through all different avenues,
All right. And so your website is a Shopify website. Why did you choose Shopify?
For me, it was just when I looked at the research on it, that was the easier route for me to do. It had all the plugins, everything was kind of there and ready to go. I've tried different methods, and a lot of it was like, well, now you got to build this section, and then you got to know a little bit of coding to make that work, and this and that. Shopify was just like plug and play. I put in what I wanted, I put in the colors, I put in the texts, I put in the images, and it kind of builds it all out. It has everything implemented where it works conjoined with PayPal. So when a service gets done, I get paid. I'm notified when I get paid. It automatically adjusts the shipping for me, so that people know what they're going to be paying out the box for shipping and everything like that to their countries, even outside of the U.S. and everything like that, which is nice. And then overall, it's just easy. The support is great as well, and it's a clean looking site, to be quite honest. So, and it's not too expensive. I think I pay at the moment it was like $2 for an account a month, to run it with an e-commerce, at my level. So it was just attractive at that kind of like stage.
And so for your Bioactive Works business, what goals do you have for 2023? And by that, I mean infrastructure goals, digital infrastructure.
Infrastructure. I want to get better at the social media thing to like be able to like, just get a bigger outreach. I want to really hone in on the e-commerce as well, to have better control of how that works and how my customers are interacting with my website. If my website is delivering in the manner that it should, like when customers see it, are they seeing it and say, hey, this is something I'm behind? Or are they saying, oh, this looks like a scam site? I want to make sure that I have that all polished so it's well. I want to make sure that all the information I have on there is like, up to date and just, it can, I would love to hear the feedback of them. So I really want to create like almost like my own email chain or email base. So I know what's going on with the customers. I'm able to like, all right, I sold you something. How is that product doing for you in the next couple months? Just so I can like keep up to date with how they're going and everything like that. So really hone those like technical background kind of like ideas of how the e-commerce works, so that I can then hopefully make Bioactive Works the best that I can make it.
So it's more of
So
understanding how the e-commerce works and what tools are available to you?
Correct. It's so easy to say, hey, here's a couple products through my Instagram message box. Here's tracking and this and that. But then all the information gets lost, after you're done talking with that customer, unless they reach out for something else. So I think to be able to further track that kind of information and see how the business is growing, when I plugged into Shopify the first time, it was able to then plug into my PayPal and turn that into a business account, which then showed me all the business I've done in the past year. And when I saw that number, I was like, whoa, I can't believe this has been going on this entire time. Like, so that was really cool to see, and just these tools that are available that like I'm not aware of, but I'm now learning about are helping me in so many ways develop and grow the business, so that's exciting for sure.
You mentioned email. Have you considered having a regular email newsletter?
Yeah. So my website has the option when you purchase everything, you put in your email, which then updates you to everything current that's going on. So every time we make a new product, you get an email saying, hey, check out this new product we're releasing, just to see how you like it and things like that. So yeah, that's the goal in terms of like, the more the customer base grows in there, the bigger community I can build behind the brand and everything, like, which is my goal, because I would love to have a giant community of people showing ideas and how they interpret and use the products that I make. Because I'm only as creative as my imagination allows me. I'm sure there's people seeing my stuff and they're like, wow, how can I use it for this, for that, for all these other things? And I'm excited to see those things, and the email chain will definitely help that, or building my community around my brand will help that for sure.
All right. Now, this next question may be challenging. We're going to throw it out there and see what you got. By the end of 2023, when I call you up and say, hey, Eddy, let's go back on the podcast again. Let's talk about the year. What, if looking back on 2023, what would make the year a success in your mind and said, yeah, I accomplished a goal. I did something that I can be proud of. What do you have any idea what that would be?
If I were to choose one thing out of I have a big list of that, because it's funny you mentioned this. I made a goal list for
Okay.
last year, for this year, and I have accomplished, I would say, 90% of all the
Really?
bullets on that goal. And it was a long goal list, you know. So I was happy that I'd gotten that far. And but if there was anything, it would be to see. It would be to my biggest thing is to own and know I own the patent to one of my
Okay.
ideas, like my favorite idea. You know, if I could get the patent to that, have full, like, knowing that, hey, this is something that I made, that I love, that I can share with people, I will love that. That would be a big goal for mine. And then the second would be to prove that one of my most exciting projects that I've been working on. I've been probably working on this project for 2 years now. Is the egg laying
Hmm.
bin, and I'm literally this close for it to be finally released, and everyone, I have people using some now and everything like that. And my biggest thing would be to have a tree monitor lay its
Yeah.
eggs inside of that thing. If I can have one tree monitor lay its egg inside of that nest box, that suspended nest box, I would drop and die, honestly. Like, that'll be the most exciting thing for me to happen next year. You know, I mean, I know there's small goals and the bigger things. I would love, like, bigger goals. I would love to have my own dedicated, shop, my own place where I go in and clock into work, and this is mine. I'm managing this store, and it's growing. Maybe have a storefront somewhere, or something like that. Like that. Those are big goals that I obviously have written down for next year. The list is endless for what we plan to accomplish for sure. Like we're getting the groundwork. I already got from a year ago speaking to you. I started with three 3D printers in my house to now having 8 3D printers to having a warehouse with all my 3D printers working with my product all over the world right now, and people asking me to be on podcasts like you. Like, so a lot of goals have been accomplished in a year's time, which is amazing. And I can only imagine what next year's going to bring, to be quite honest. I could only imagine.
Okay. Well, then we are going to get going with 2023, and I've got my goals. We're going to regroup at the end of 2023 and see where we stand. This is going to be an exciting year.
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait,
So,
honestly.
all right, Eddie. Well, I'm going to on my side, I'm going to get together some stuff that talks about websites and everything that and things that we need to go forward. And so we're going to make 2023 a success.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Thank you,
Anything,
Bill. Appreciate that so much,
anything
man.
else you want to share with the audience?
Listen to this man. He's your biggest fan. He is a wealth of knowledge. He will help you believe and make all those dreams come true. I promise you, when Bill came to me and said, "Hey, Eddie, do you want to talk about this stuff?" And I was so excited. I literally, I could not thank this man right here, Bill, enough. He is amazing. Everything he says is gold. Listen to him. Listen to his old podcast. Listen to the things he says, because he has a wealth of knowledge that I promise you will help you with what you want to do, y'all. And don't be afraid to try new things, because the world is waiting for you to come up with that new idea that we haven't seen yet.
Eddie, thank you very much. And I got to tell you,
Of course, man.
I take pride in everything that you do and everything that you accomplish. I mean, I don't take credit for anything that people do, but I do take pride in seeing you accomplish it. It's awesome what you have
Dude,
done, and I'm glad this
thank you,
podcast
man.
can be
Appreciate it.
a part of that.
Me too, man. Me too. Anyone I can do to give back and help and inspire, that's what I'm here for, man. I love that, honestly, man. Because you guys did the same for me, and I would love to inspire the next generation. So let's keep on keeping
All
on.
right, you're a partner in doing this. We're going to inspire the community to step up to the plate and do what makes them happy. That's going to be awesome. Let's get on to 2023. We'll see everybody.
Let's get on, dude.
All right, thank you very much, Eddie, for coming on and sharing about your business. Now, what can we all take from this interview and apply to our businesses? The first thing I want to talk about is that Eddie has a decision to make between business and community educational outreach. Eddie is heavily into Blue Tree monitors and wants to do a community outreach to support education in Blue Tree monitors. So if anybody wants information, they can go to this resource. Now, we didn't necessarily touch on that a whole lot in the interview, but in talking with Eddy, I know this is where he wants to go, and so I wanted to bring it up. And this is a place that a number of us, especially in the reptile community, come from. We love our certain area of interest. Mine's chameleons, his is blue tree monitors. And we have this vision of creating an exploratory, educational resource for the community around our topic. And if we also have a business, then we have to make a decision as to what kind of overlap there's going to be between the educational resource and the business. In Eddy's case, he has a 3D printing business where he makes accessories, and he wants to do an educational outreach on blue tree monitors. So how intimately will he tie those two together? That's for him to decide. Perhaps I will bring up my case as an example of someone who's had to make this decision 8 years ago. I have a chameleon caging business called the Dragon Strand Chameleon Caging Company. And a couple of years after that, I started a podcast, which was an educational outreach on chameleons, Chameleon Academy podcast. Now, I had a decision to make. Is this podcast going to be tied in with my business? And that was the original idea. It was going to be the Dragon Strand podcast. But there are some gives and takes when you do something like that. There are a number of people that wouldn't be comfortable coming on a podcast that was obviously commercially tied in. And so I had to make a decision. Do I have a podcast that will welcome, that puts the priority on the quality of information? Or do I put the focus of this podcast on being a marketing outreach for my business? And there's no right or wrong answer. You just have to decide what you want to do. So on one hand, if I have it separate from my business, then I have the freedom to bring on people that may not want to be part of a commercial outreach. I have the ability to talk about competitors' products where, because it's not associated with my business, they're really not competing with the podcast outreach. And so if I call it Chameleon Academy Podcast, I can bring on people who don't have to worry about whether they support my caging business or not, and they'll come on. And I am able to talk about other caging products, and it doesn't get strange. But what I'm giving up is people may not associate my outreach with my caging company. And so I lose out on that marketing benefit. It doesn't mean I can't mention it. It doesn't mean I can't say sponsored by Dragon Strand. And it doesn't mean that I don't use Dragon Strand products in my examples. Just because it's not the Dragon Strand podcast doesn't mean that I ignore that I exist. But if it is called something different, like the Chameleon Academy podcast, there isn't this weird dynamic when I start talking about, say, other manufacturers' cages. In fact, as you know, I actually went down that road. And when I launched my website, chameleonacademy.com, the first build guide that I did was on the Exoterra Tall Extra Large cage. And that was completely natural and no problem. If I called it the Dragon Strand podcast and had this hosted on dragonstrand.com, you go and you see the Dragon Strand cages, but then you see this build guide for an Exoterra cage. Well, that starts to get very confusing. And so you have to decide whether you're going to focus on the quality of the information and compromise your ability to market it. Where on the other hand, if I said a Dragon Strand podcast, well, then it's 100% marketing. Every time anybody listens to that podcast, they're hearing about my cages. If nothing else, they're getting exposed to the brand. The advantage of that is all of the effort that I put into this project benefits me. The disadvantage is, of course, I take a hit on the number of people that are willing to come on and be supportive of my commercial outreach. It's almost as if they are supporting my business for free, and there may be a little bit of discomfort. Eddy's going to have to make this decision based on his Blue Tree Monitor outreach and then his Blue Tree Monitor cage accessories. How closely does he want them interlocked? Now, this is something that many people in the reptile community are going to run into because they love a certain species and they want to create educational outreaches for that species, but they also made a business for products to help take care of that particular species. And so how do you break that up? And there are some questions that you can ask yourself to help you come to the right decision for you. First of all, would you do this outreach if you closed down the business for whatever reason, or you sold the business for a profit? Good business decision. But would you keep the outreach? In my case, my love for chameleons is independent of the business. I have had many educational outreaches, and I will continue to have educational outreaches whether or not I continue my caging business. And so it was just natural for me to make them two separate entities. Now, if your answer is that no, this Instagram account, this podcast, this YouTube channel is tied into my business, it's all about my business, and if I close down my business, I'm not going to continue the outreach, well, then go ahead and call that Instagram channel your business name. Call the podcast or YouTube show your business name and get that full marketing value. We also have this decision to make in smaller areas in our business. Take, for example, when you're putting together a shopping list for how to take care of whatever reptile or animal that you're giving education about, and somebody says, what do I buy? And you put together a shopping list for the first-time buyer. The question is, do you on that shopping list put the absolute best items possible? And then if any of those have affiliate links, well, then you put in the affiliate link and then you can get some affiliate income coming in. That's the quality approach. The optimized for business approach is you go to Amazon and Chewy, these places that have affiliate links, and you say, okay, I'm going to choose from the products that they have available. So if it doesn't have an affiliate link, well, we're not putting it on here. And you in the community may say, well, wait a minute, you don't compromise the animal's health just for that profit. That just doesn't seem right. But this is done often. You go to many of these websites that have the AdSense and they have these affiliate links and they're only about the profit. They may or may not be people from the community, but you'll notice that those shopping lists are only products that are found on Amazon. To be clear, affiliate links are a great way for all of us to get some income for all of our efforts in doing this educational outreach. I am 100% in support and encourage you to get an affiliate relationship with Amazon or any other place, because that is a way that you can continue making educational outreaches for free for the end user, for the beginner who really needs it. The problem comes is when you are so concentrating on affiliate income that you compromise the products that you suggest. And that's just a simpler example of this constant balance and this constant decision making that we have to do between how do we support ourselves and the quality of information that goes out there. And I want to make it clear, you supporting yourself, you getting some income back for your efforts is not a problem. It is not evil. It is not bad. It is good. It is what needs to be done so you continue what you are doing. And we have a plethora of fake sites out there that are just designed to do affiliate income and ad income. And these people aren't part of the reptile community. I mean, I can go to see so many chameleon websites that I know are not written by people within the community. They're written only for getting income from it. So why in the world would we penalize or look down on people in the community making money through affiliate income if all of that is going on? Take away all of the garbage about, oh, you're just in it for the money. You know what you're in it for. And people who love the animals can still make money as long as we're not compromising the health of the animals or the quality of the information that we share. So that's a huge decision point that Eddy is going to be going through. I know I went through it, and it's a common thing that I'm sure you're going to have to go through sometime in your outreach life. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at what else we were talking about. We asked YouTube versus podcast. Okay, this is the perennial decision of, do I start a video channel or an audio channel? Now, I will say that used to be a common question. I asked that a lot, but things have gotten a little murky in the video versus podcast world to the point where they're all merging together. And now I'd say it's very common to create a video podcast, which is essentially the podcast that you know and love, but it has a video component to it. You still have the option to do video or an audio podcast, but the future is the video podcast. Now, which one you choose to do depends upon your comfort level and what your talents are. Honestly, I am better with the audio podcast. That's my favorite medium. And the reason why I do so much video is because that's what the world demands of me. That's going forward. I got to tell you, the future is video. So if you have that ability, I would encourage that. In Eddy's case, we can take a look at what he's done on Instagram and his reels. And it's pretty clear that Eddy can do video. Absolutely. No, he's very good at video. And so I think the answer to that, at least if I was giving that answer, is pretty clear that he should do a video podcast and put it out on these different platforms as both video and podcast. There's been a lot of movement in the industry headed up by Spotify, where they're creating essentially video podcasts that you can watch as well as listen to as an audio podcast. I believe that is the direction of the future. YouTube believes that as well, as YouTube is trying to put together an exact competition to this. So we have two giants that are pushing podcasting forward, and video podcast is going to be the normal going forward. Now, one thing Eddy mentioned was Shopify. Shopify is an e-commerce platform that's designed to make it easy to put together an e-commerce website. It is one of the most popular e-commerce website builders out there. The most popular, though, is WooCommerce, and that is a plugin that goes to a WordPress website. The difference between WooCommerce and WordPress over here and Shopify is that Shopify tries to make it easier. It's more expensive, but you get more. It's a lot easier to set up a shop on Shopify, whereas on WordPress and WooCommerce, you have a whole lot more options and you have more freedom to create whatever you want. Now, I will say, trying to figure out things on WooCommerce may require a stiff drink and a whole lot of time because it can be aggravating. Now, my websites, I do use WordPress and WooCommerce, but that's because I set them up before Shopify really was a thing for me to consider. I have considered moving my website to Shopify and testing out that system because I know people who have used it, they really like it, and it does smooth over some of the real tough parts. So if anybody's trying to figure out shipping on WooCommerce, you know what I'm talking about. As for the direction that you should go if you're thinking about putting together an e-commerce website, check out Shopify.com. And you can also check out the WordPress websites and WooCommerce. Basically, it comes down to how much money do you want to save? How much time do you want to spend? WordPress, WooCommerce has great flexibility, definitely cheaper because it's free, but you will spend time trying to put it together. If you're the type that likes to get your hands very dirty with websites, you like to be able to control every little thing, WordPress WooCommerce is a great way to go. If you're not as comfortable with websites and website creation, and you just want it to work, and you're willing to pay the monthly fee because Shopify does charge, then check out Shopify. I will tell you that when something goes wrong with WordPress and WooCommerce, you spend the day figuring it out. With Shopify, you at least have a bit more customer service. So there's no set answer as to whether you should go with WordPress and WooCommerce or Shopify. Just check them both out. And finally, let's talk about 3D printing as a business. There are some inherent challenges with 3D printing as a business, and that is anybody can copy what you do. All they have to do is get a 3D printer and they can do exactly what you do. In fact, there's a whole host of 3D printing businesses out there selling on Etsy, selling on eBay, selling everywhere, and everybody is looking for another product to sell. And so if you create a 3D printed product, it's guaranteed that somebody will try to copy you. They may not even need to buy your product. They can just look at the picture of your product and figure out how to make it. And within a week, they're selling the thing that you invented. And there's only two ways to deal with this situation. Number one, it's legal to do, so there's really no way for you to stop them unless you get a patent on the product. Patents are a long drawn out process. They can be expensive, but that is what affords you protection against people just taking your idea. I have a patent on my Dragon Ledges product, and I've already had to stop somebody on Etsy from doing a 3D printed version of it. I mean, it's a big pain in the butt, and you would hope that people in the reptile community would respect at least a patent, but no, they want to make sure you're serious. Of course, I have a patent attorney, and I can go to Etsy and say this product is in violation of this patent, and I can get something done. But you have to be on top of it. Now, the other way that you're going to deal with people taking your ideas, your 3D printed ideas, is you're going to stay ahead of the game. This is where putting attention to your marketing is really going to pay off, because people don't buy products that they don't know exists. And if you are the most high visibility person who is selling this product, you have the brand name, you have the trust, then you're going to get the sales. Now, it's not perfect. People are always going to be looking for something cheaper, and the people who copy you will do it for cheaper because they don't care. Now, it's not a perfect situation. You will lose sales to the people who are copying you, especially if they offer it for cheaper. But there is always that sense of trust, and you need to develop that trust with your audience, and you need to keep pushing forward. I know people can copy very quickly, and so you spend months putting together this product. You spend months on the details. You keep refining it until it's perfect. And then somebody snaps it up and within a week of you doing your wonderful final product, they are now selling it as well. I'm not even going to talk about whether that's right or not. The fact is, it's going to happen. And so you need to establish that relationship with your audience, and you need to keep moving forward. And I know you're saying, well, that's a lot of work. I shouldn't have to do that. And I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Unless you get a patent, you have to keep moving forward to stay ahead of the copiers. Okay, those are the business aspects that I wanted to bring out from this business case study with Eddy Garabito. I invite you to follow him on Instagram at BioActiveWorks and Father Blue, which is where he talks about his blue tree monitors. I hope this business case study was useful for you, and you saw some things in this that you could apply to your business. I'd love to hear what you have to think. You can email me at bill@reptileentrepreneur.com or place a comment in the comment section of the YouTube video, because this will be on YouTube as well as the podcast. Thank you very much for being here. This is Bill Strand signing off. Take care of yourself. Take care of our reptile community. Let's see what we can build.